Hello, and once again getting wet outdoors and thinking, and just some quick thoughts here today about whether we should talk more about the things that we struggle with or not. I was talking to a group of people, and it's all it's superficial, not quite chit chat. We're not fantastic at total chit chat, but discussing ideas and things. And then afterwards, underneath, people will get in touch and say, actually, I'm really struggling with this, that and the other. I just didn't like to say it then. And I'm wondering, why is that? Well, it's cultural, I suppose, isn't it? It's that thing that neurotypicals do, where you're supposed to say, how are you? And you say, very well, thank you. How are you? And they say, very well, thank you. And you go on your way. But I did some Italian classes, and the teachers there said they were really shocked in Britain that when they said, how are you? They expected to say, well, my mother's not very well, and I'm this, and I'm struggling with this. So I wonder if it's cultural. I wonder if it's even worse in some countries, maybe our own, where there are more hidden rules. We're a bit more passive aggressive, I think, in the United Kingdom. That old, disgruntled writes a letter. It's not the hand waving, shouting about it that you see in other cultures, which actually might suit us better. So the struggles, I have a wonderful friend now in America, and he's much more open than I am, and he's sort of taught me that perhaps I should talk about the things that are difficult. I never have. Again, it's a cultural thing, and you don't want to burden other people, and you're supposed to get on with it, I thought. But then in recent years, learning all about different psychological conditions, about my own complex post-traumatic stress disorder, there's a book called The Body Knows the Score, and the trauma stays. The trauma's got to be dealt with, and trauma can come from years of masking, which so many of us have done, thus not disclosing any struggles. And then comes the ultimate dichotomy. I don't know, what do you think about this? Because lots of us say, don't use the term disabled, don't use the term disordered. It's not autism spectrum disorder anymore, it's autism spectrum condition. We're all good. But then on the other hand, we're all struggling with what feels like disorder, sometimes feels like a disability, and often in environments that aren't friendly to us, even feels like there's some sort of discrimination. So we create our own dichotomy in which we say, don't use the word neurotypical, because I'm typical too. But then we get out there and we say, I'm totally different, and I want you to know I'm different. And I get a bit confused by all that narrative. But when the camera goes on like this, I mask. I've done it for so many years, over half of 100 years. So it's difficult. I don't know if anybody saw my piece about autism, ADHD and friends with the clever and cunning use of hats. You never quite know what you're seeing in a person. There's a book about trauma called Fragmented Selves, and it's a book written for psychologists and psychiatrists to recognise that you might see your patient when they're in their inner child phase, or they may be experiencing rejection sensitivity, or they may be experiencing anger, or they may misread, but you're always seeing a different slice of the overall cake, which is how I used to teach verbs as a teacher. So it was just some thoughts really on whether we should be more open in discussing our struggles, or does that just make people roll their eyes and think we should just get on with it? I find it incredibly comforting. That's the wrong word, because I don't want other people to struggle, but knowing I'm not alone when I hear what's happening to someone else. And I know they say when you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person, because of course, like all humans, we're all incredibly different. But in the same way that there are threads that run through thoughts, behaviours, neurological developments of people that are neurotypical, predominant neurotype, the other word, so there are with all of us. And especially the people I'm talking to, often late diagnosed, like me, very similar life experiences, very similar ways of feeling, very similar struggles. So you have only met me when you meet me, but I think it helps to understand a little bit more about the wider picture if we're trying to change and challenge attitudes and environments, and make society a little more friendly to difference, and perhaps minimise some of those struggles which are often created by external factors that we can't control, and systems that were created by people who see and feel and hear the world very differently than we do. I would love to know thoughts, and we do have a group where we share and care. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, I can tell you how to join that, and also a blog for collaborating on this sort of thing, so that hopefully we can get more stories out into the mainstream. Something I feel very passionately about are hidden voices. I think there are academics and authors and advocates, and we hear from all of them, but as everyone knows, if you've seen my pieces about having to have a social media profile, if you're already confident enough to have a social media profile, which is what the publishers want, you might actually be faring a little better than someone else who would just be too scared to do that, or is too unsure to disclose. Or, and even more importantly, which I will talk about next time, how do we put together something that helps people recognise and identify themselves? Because we all know there's lots more of us out there, but people either don't want to say, which is sad, and we need to change that, or they haven't even recognised their difference. They might be struggling like I used to. I used to struggle in a restaurant because I thought that I was in an angry mood. I thought that I didn't like the people I was with. I thought they didn't like me. I'd make an argument to get out of there. Now I know it will be some sensory overload, and it might even be the clothes I'm wearing, it might be the lights, but now I know what to look for, because now I know who I am and why. And that might help lots of people if we could put something together like that. We can do it through the blog, we can do it in any way anybody would like to suggest. I think that might be really, really helpful, without lists of deficits, without the diagnosis words of all the things we can't do. No, just recognition of who we are, what we do, and how perhaps it impacts us and what we might do differently. So again, I've been Tracy. Let me know anything that you'd like ponderings on, and see you soon.